All right, for more Indians coverage now, we turn to Matt Loede from 92.3 The Fan. We're 40 games in. There's been a lot of turmoil this weekend. But before we get to the turmoil, let's just talk about the team in general.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now, guys, the way that this team has played has pretty much been up to potential. I mean, the hitting's been inconsistent. Most of the starts for the starting guys has been pretty good. Derek Lowe, I think, has pitched over and above what we thought. I think the other guys, Justin Masterson and Ubaldo Jimenez, have been a little bit under where we thought they would be. The bullpen's been pretty good. I mean, Chris Perez has obviously been a stud out there, going 13 for 14 in save situations. Tony Sipp, guys like Joe Smith, even Vinny Pistano have been pretty good for the most part. But I don't think we've seen the best out of the Tigers. They'll come in for 3 games starting on Tuesday night. I think a critical series because after that they go to Chicago and then they come home for the Royals. So a lot of more of American League Central baseball coming up. But I think they played pretty well considering they're in first place by a couple of games.
Last 24 hours has been crazy for you. You've had a chance to be around Chris Perez from the night before to the morning of the game today. Good timing, bad timing that this all came out with the way things are going, the weather turning teams in first place, so on and so forth.
Well, you had a real good, weekend of crowds at the ballpark, and I think the thing right now with Chris Perez is he told us today that there was no motivation for what he said over the weekend about the fan base and about the fact that people are not going to the ballpark. And the one thing that he said over and over again is about the negativity of the fan base. And not only that, but he did take it upon himself to blame us as the media for bringing out some of that negativity. I look at it as a situation where he spoke the minds of what a lot of players are thinking. And that is, you've got a first-place team, you got a beautiful ballpark, you're right in downtown Cleveland, you got a brand-new casino, but yet fans aren't coming out. They're last in baseball, but not just by a little bit, folks, but by over 5,000 fans. And the next up on the list, the Oakland A's, a team that hasn't been drawing fans for a long time. They play in an old ballpark in Oakland, and they're just not that good of a baseball team. No reason why more Indians fans shouldn't be at the park. The team tries to do as much as they can promotionally to get fans to the park, but I think Chris just had it. He said last Thursday against Seattle, when they booed him after he allowed a single and a walk in a game they eventually won, he said that was his breaking point as far as that was concerned.
Well, I think it's interesting. You can look at this a number of ways. I mean, even Tom Hamilton yesterday, while he was calling the game on the radio, said it's not rocket science why fans aren't at the game. Bad weather, school's still in session.
Right.
So, I mean, you've got one guy from the Indians that's kind of laying it out, someone that knows Cleveland and kind of understands it, and then you've got a pitcher out here that's saying that. I can understand why the fans aren't coming to the games. Look, I'll agree. Look, the team is in first place, the fans are in last place, but I understand.
No, and I think Chris Perez, on a personal level, I think Chris knows that right now the fan base is still a little bit distant because of the Dolans. I think that he knows that there's negativity towards the Dolans. He took it upon himself again to be the spokesperson for the team and says, look, we're the players, we're the guys that take the field. Don't worry about the ownership. If you don't agree with the moves the Dolans have made over the years, that doesn't affect us. We're not a fluke. We're in first place for a reason. We were there last year and we fell apart due to injuries. We're going to stay there this year, at least in his mind, he says that. And he says, he understands the economy, but I think his big thing is how the fans look at this as a negative that this team is playing so well in some regards. And I gotta say, I agree with a lot of what he said today. If you're sitting at home and you're not going to these games because you don't like the Dolans, I think you need to get over that.
There's certain parts that he just shouldn't go after. I mean, you can't go after management. You can't attack why free agents aren't coming in.
Right.
Kind of lump in all your players that you play, all your guys you play with as well. There's certain parts I can understand what he said, but then there's things where he's like, you just don't talk about some of those things.
Well, Chris is a passionate guy, and you guys know that. You've talked to him over the years. This is a guy that always has been known to speak his mind. He's not going to hold back. And, I saw a lot of reporters go up to him after this whole thing was said and done off the record and say, look, we agree with you on some of the things you're saying about the fans not coming to the ballpark. But I think the one thing that Chris, on a positive side, pointed out was, look, he was 12 years old in 1997 when this team went to the World Series. He lived in Florida. He was there to see how this Cleveland fan base was when this team was winning and going to the World Series. And he said, I just wanted to get back to that. I want to see fans at the ballpark. It does give us more energy when there's 40,000, 30,000, 25,000 as compared to some nights getting, what, 6, 7, 8,000? I mean, that is not good for this economy as far as baseball is concerned, to be in this market with a good first-place team and yet not have fans at the ballpark. It's not good at all.
What about the fans, though, that are saying, keep your mouth shut and play baseball? Well, you're making more money than most people in Northeast.
Absolutely.
I mean, you're making you're in the 99th percentile of people that make money here in Cuyahoga County. right?
No, I absolutely agree with that. And you know what? The fans that don't want to come to the games, I understand why they don't want to come to the games to a certain level. But if you're holding back on this baseball team because of your dislike for the Dolans, I think that's where you really got to just put that aside at this point. That is over and done with. There are other reasons to come down to Progressive Field, and they've tried to make it the most fan-friendly ballpark in the country with the kids' clubhouse and all the promotions that they do. You can get tickets for almost next to nothing. But he pointed out, he agrees, the economy has a lot to do with it, weather has a lot to do with it, but on the positive side, he said, look, the weather's going to get better, kids are going to get out of school, and his exact quote at one point was, the fans will come. He's just like to see it a little quicker, I guess.
All right, last point before we go. This is going to be a huge series against Detroit.
Right.
The game on Thursday is going to be phenomenal. I mean, you've got Verlander going up against Masterson.
On TV now, too, thanks to STO.
Absolutely, and that's a big game. And
that
not
might
only
be a bad
that,
thing,
but
though. I got get people to the ballpark.
yeah,
Why put it on TV?
it's a noon game, and here's the other thing, too. You want to see fans come out because it's ace against ace. It's your ace against theirs. These two have gone up against each other a couple of times in the past, and unfortunately, Masterson's never been able to come out. But also, you know, you're in a dogfight. This Chicago, Detroit, Cleveland back and forth thing in the American League Central is good right now, and the Indians need to win 2 out of 3 in this series and gain a little bit of ground. But you know what? Their confidence against the Tigers was a little bit down after they got beat up by them last year, especially late in the season. They got swept in the last series in Detroit. They need to come out and play good baseball, and Manny Acta seems to still have his thumb on the pulse of this team. Let's see if it happens.
Thank you, Matt Loede. At least we're all fired up about Indians baseball. Thanks, Matt.
guys.
We'll listen to your updates throughout the week on 92.3 The Fan.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.